All right, 322 crew, welcome to a special edition here in the interwebs. This will be in terms of arc, in terms of my thoughts at the conclusion of the arc. If you haven't hopped on to my YouTube channel, go to Ron322, subscribe. There's also a playlist I have called Persona 5 Royal Arc Thoughts, and it's basically each video covering all the arcs and my thoughts on them and the context within them through, Persona 5 Royal. So in previous videos, I covered Kamoshida's arc. I covered Madarame. I covered Kaneshiro. I covered the Futaba Wakaba arc. I covered Okumura, covered the Sainijima one, as well as Masayoshi Shido, Yaldabaoth, and now here we are, Dr. Maruki. As you can see over here in the background, it's just my PS4 backdrop. Now, for those wondering, because I know some people might ask, if you, and this is why I'm doing the little rotate, if you want to get this theme, right? If you notice, you can see Maruki walking around, just chilling. You have to, and I mean you have to have the Platinum Trophy from Persona 5 Royal. After that, you have to go to PlayStation customer service, in the online chat. Be like, hey, listen, I already got the Platinum Trophy. I just need the theme, the redemption code, and they'll give you this theme, avatars, and a whole bunch of other stuff for free. You don't have to worry about paying for none of this. You can't even buy these things if you want to, because this dropped when Persona 5 Royal dropped last year. Having said that, I have a lot of thoughts, more than I thought, with Dr. Maruki. Because here's the thing: every palace ruler that we slayed and changed the heart of, they're all these very corrupt individuals. All of them. Kamoshida was harassing underage girls. He even physically abused volleyball team members, male and female, subjected them to abuse, subjected emotional abuse, even to someone like Ryuji, threatening to expel them all and everything because they found out how dirty he was. Madarame and his plagiarism, but also his tutor abuse as well in the process, and also the emotional manipulation and his emotional sense of narcissism towards Yusuke Kitagawa. Kaneshiro was probably like the least interesting, and that's the arc where you get Makoto's awakening. He was having trafficking, of drugs being done with high school kids, and these kids just saw it as a hustle to make extra money, so that they wouldn't have to worry about going to college and this and that, only to entrap them in this scheme. With Futaba, it was all about her understanding that, one, her mom did not off herself, and then two, her mom actually loved her, and that she did not off herself, but rather someone took her down by a psychotic breakdown. And then you had Okumura, which was the pompous and ethically abusive CEO, but also abusive as a father, because he had basically a prearranged marriage between his daughter Haru and a very perverted, very, heartless fiance for her. Then with Masayoshi Shido, absolute narcissism, his little god complex of making Japan great again, thinking that he could steer them into prosperity across the world and make them great. All the while, he was the one pulling the strings, psychotic breakdowns, mental shutdowns, random deaths of different people, even down to the point of apparently offing his own illegitimate son, Goro Akechi. And I say apparent death because there's still more questions than answers, especially if you go on Google or Bing or whatever and you search up the fact that there was unused data that proves that suggests that Akechi ain't actually dead, and that him disappearing after this Maruki arc was a ruse. Him disappearing after the whole Masashi Shido palace run was a ruse. It was a ruse, right? So those are things to think about, right? So now, here we are at the Maruki arc, right? Third semester, after New Year's, suddenly, everyone's happy. Suddenly you have a complete distortion of reality itself. Because after defeating Yaldabaoth, reality and like the physical reality and the cognitive world, they hadn't completely separated yet. And if you go ahead and see some of my live streams telling the story of Persona 5 Strikers, which I still have to resume, this is why the metaverse ain't done with yet. Because again, we may have defeated Maruki, and despite Levenza's assertion that everything will be back to how it's supposed to be, the truth of reality is, even before Maruki decided to nose his ass in, the fabric of reality and the metaverse still had not unglued itself of each other. There's still that static in between. Persona 5 Strikers is exactly the result of that, in my opinion, if you want to look at the canon aspect of it. So anyway, Maruki, Dr. Maruki. He's a complex individual because unlike the rest of the palace rulers, he isn't really evil. He's not naturally malevolent. He's not the kind of person that you really want to take down because he's scum. But rather, he's a guy with an ambition, with the most purest of intentions. But there's a saying that those with the pure intentions can often lead to disastrous results. So here's the thing with Maruki, right? So as we all knew, rolled in as a therapist and a counselor to all these kids after the whole Kamoshida thing, right? Eventually he catches the ear of Yusuke Kitagawa, wants to help him out too. Same thing with Haru and even Makoto and all this stuff, right? We later find out, of course, that the first successful patient was Kasumi, who of course we end up finding out is not Kasumi. Her name is actually Sumire. Kasumi is actually her biologically older sister that died in a car accident. Now here's the thing. Maruki's intent was embedded in the loss of his relationship with his ex-fiancée, right? It was also embedded in his ex-fiancée's loss of her parents. Because due to that, it led her to be in a state of catatonic depression. And then with catatonic depression, it's like you're a vegetable not because you're dying, but because the depression's got you so floored, you don't want to move. You don't want to do anything. And then on top of that, she had PTSD on top of that. I feel like the insertion of Maruki is unique for two reasons. Number one, it adds a ginormously extra layer of dynamic into the game. But unique because the timing of Royal with his insertion, along with Sumire, is pretty relevant to what we were going through during the pandemic in the beginning, where we were hot into the pandemic back in March and April of last year. A lot of us suffer some serious mental health issues, and I felt also like, whereas the game was kind of really touching in a lot of the sensibilities and issues that were permeated throughout the mid 2010s, Maruki was a very relevant insertion, right? Because his issue was about mental health, about depression, PTSD, anxiety, you know, and the ambition to help people that are going through these things. Just so happens, of course, if you had any of these underlying issues, they came out full swing when the lockdowns happened, when the safer at home orders rolled in. If your depression and anxiety issues were very kept in the closet, they were gonna bust right on out with the lockdown. And that's exactly what happened. Also, it's also the fact that before his insertion throughout the years, a lot of mental health and a lot of depression stuff started emerging in, across the world. With like now a lot of people are more open about talking about mental health than ever. At least their own stories, their own truths about it, right? And then also we lost a lot of people to suicide and death because of depression that they could not cope and manage, so that they wouldn't have to just be stripped from us. At the end, it's a person's decision what they do with their life or not do with their life. But it doesn't take away the pain that people feel when they lose someone that they valued and cared about, right? So, for example, we lost Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, right? We lost Chris Cornell from Soundgarden and Audio Slave. I mean, we had lost Robert Williams years ago as well. We lost, we lost a lot of people that mattered, at least to us culturally, musically, in entertainment. And then people that we knew, we lost some of them due to suicide as a result of severe depression. And that really hit it really hit a sore spot with me, because my depression went full swing when the lockdown happened. When the safer at home orders happened here in Tampa, I was in the middle of unemployment. I was in the middle of a whole bunch of transition of stuff that just climbed towards a whole emotional and psychological breakdown for me personally. And he got this Maruki guy. His intent is to help people like us, even if it means alternating reality to a point that he removes the very source of your pain, the very thing that set off or bore the seeds or sowed the seeds of depression and anxiety. If giving you a happy life means ripping that out, that's exactly what he'd do. All he have to do is listen to you. Now, here was the thing. He started unleashing these powers while he was doing his cognitive science research, similar to Wakaba. And then, of course, Azathoth, the blind idiot god of Lovecraft lore, is his persona. When the blind idiot god of Lovecraftian lore is calling out to you for you to summon him, that's crazy. Here's why. Those of you familiar with H.P. Lovecraft, you would know the blind idiot god. The only reason he's called a blind idiot god is because he's sleeping while he's creating. Literally, he's creating and destroying in his sleep, and he has zero consciousness of it happening. His own brain is creating all of the fabric of reality and changing and altering it as it so wills while he's sleeping. And of course, the rumor is, in the stories, is that the day he wakes up, all of reality as we know it will cease to exist. That's some crazy shit, bro. So having Azathoth as his persona, that's crazy. That's some crazy god tier stuff right there. Because this also is a callback to Aizen Sosuke from Bleach, whose Zanpakuto, his sword, when he does the Shikai, which is the unleashing of it, his ability is that he can alter all perception of reality to anyone who sees him take out the sword. Like, if you see him withdraw the sword, it's game over. You will not be able to tell what is real or what is not real, because he has already he's got you. He's got you, unless you have the ability to see past it, which is what Ichigo eventually did. It ties back to Maruki, because again, Maruki is a good reflection of the issues we're going through today with psychiatry and psychology. But he's also, in a way, an embodiment of Carl Jung, which there's already enough Carl Jung across the Persona-verse as it is. But it really comes up with Maruki because of how Carl Jung cared about looking into the mind of the person, you know, the shadow, the mask, and someone finding their true self and learning to just unearth it instead of just keeping everything face value in their lives, right? Maruki, he saw his girlfriend, Rumi, as she was. He just longed to be able to take that pain away from her because he couldn't take it. That shit was eating him up. And then Azathoth called onto him. And he was like, lend me your strength. Next thing you know, suddenly, Ruby's no longer depressed. She's happy. She thinks she's having surgery. Suddenly, her parents died in an accident when she was younger. Suddenly, they were never together. They never actually met. Now, Maruki, if he used common sense, he could have just winged it and be like, hey, nice to meet you, da da da, and stay in touch, because she actually wanted to stay in touch with him. She seemed to like him already. And yet, he just let it be. He thought, it's over, it's gone, it's never going to happen again. But the truth is, the hand reaching out of hope was right there. It didn't have to be that way. It would have meant he would have had to restart a little bit, yeah. But the thing is, it could have grown back. And then eventually he could have explained to her what actually happened. But then, who knows, storyline-wise, how that would have affected his abilities. That's another thing. But, you know, as you all saw, Ryuji suddenly back on the track team. Truth is, he didn't need Maruki for that. He could have done that all by his damn self. And as y'all saw in the ending, that's exactly what he was aiming for. So much so that he decided to move to try to move to a rehab center for his leg. Even if it means moving away from near everybody in Shibuya and Tokyo. And then with Yusuke, this reality got altered with Madarame never having been an abusive prick, never been plagiarizing, but rather promoting his mother's work. The Sayuri no longer had the name Sayuri, but it was up there. He never claimed it to be his own. He actually claimed it to be Yusuke's mother's, as it rightfully was. Suddenly, Sainijima and Makoto had a non-troublesome relationship, and their father was alive. Wakaba was alive. And everything was all honky-dory. Morgana became human because he self-identified as human, and he well fulfilled that. Even though we know it's a freaking lie. I'm a cat. I damn well know I am, because I always show up as a cat in real life, but deep down I'm human. Therefore, I am insisting I'm a human no matter how many times you say I'm a cat. So Maruki was like, alright. From pussy to human it is. Alright, meow. You're human now. And then Kasumi was still where she was. And Akechi was very alive. Now, as I said before, in the last 2 videos of live streaming the game, things didn't end exactly as they were supposed to. Had defeating Maruki meant all of reality reverting back to the way things were supposed to, there's a lot of things that should have happened instead. Number one, Ryuji would have kept on as he was before discovering this alternate reality. So So in other words, him moving closer to a physical therapy center, that was never in the original ending, in the original Persona 5 ending at all. No one was moving, no one was going away. The only thing that was consistent with the original Persona 5 ending was Makoto and Haru, passing their entrance exams and eventually going to college. But nothing about them moving away that I remember. And as I've mentioned before, when it comes to live streaming Persona 5 Royal, we're done. We're in that sense, we're done. There's really nothing else for me to record, nothing for me to live stream. You guys saw everything you needed to see, right? Even the side quests that I did, the Mementos request, the social link bonds, y'all saw what was essential in terms of the expanded aspect. However, there's still the vanilla ending, the vanilla true ending, and the vanilla good ending. Those I will live stream, like when they actually happen. However, what I will not do is do the whole Wild Goose Chase live on YouTube again. I will not do that because I've already beaten this thing like a dead horse. Having said that, Maruki, also Sumire, finally embraced herself. And then through Joker's help with bonding and everything, learned to accept faith in herself to be able to just move on with her life. And again, here's the other thing, right? Here's the other thing. We never visited Kichijoji in the original Persona 5. At all. At all. Original Persona 5, there was no Kichijoji location. That was Royal exclusive as well. So therefore, Akechi and Joker being seen together hanging out never happened. And unfortunately, that's not what happens in this post-Maruki reality after defeating him. Joker still has to go, but please explain to me why the heck is there some guys in black in a limo trying to chase after him, right? That's not truly explained. Very strange, and why? Especially when all his charges were dropped and all that. I'm trying to really think here, because with Maruki, this is just a lot here. Yeah, his resolve was embedded in just making the world a better place, but not really acknowledging the consequences of that. In doing so, the bonds that everyone the Phantom Thieves had with Joker would have crippled and crumbled away. Except for Morgana, Ryuji, and An. That's the only thing I can say for sure. Because Ryuji remembered him. He remembered the whole Kamoshida thing, for the most part. An remembered the stuff about Kamoshida and Shiho. The main thing there is that An got what she wanted, which was Shiho never permanently moving away from Shujin. But the truth is, that reality that she desired could have still happened without Maruki. It could have still happened in real life no matter what. Morgana being a human, obviously that was a sham. That was the most unrealistic thing ever. However, even if that wish was never granted, he still would have been around them anyway. It still would have been the original four. The rest of the guys, they wouldn't have had any real bonds to even speak of. Because the Okuma Palace would have never happened. The Futaba Palace never happened. The Shido Palace likely would have still happened. The Akechi Palace, the Akechi battle wouldn't have really happened, but him fighting Shido probably would have been the one branch chain that would have changed. Makoto Palace would never happen. In other words, just the OG4 and maybe a bit of Akechi. And that's it. But then when they alter back reality, now everything was as it was. Because at the end of the day, there were still memories that lingered. Everyone still remembered hanging out with people that should have already been dead. Or should have never been around. So reality is still kind of distorted. It's still altered. It's just that this, it couldn't fully undo itself, because that also would have meant that there would have been a lapse of memory within Sainijima when it came to Joker being in jail and all that stuff, you know, in juvie and stuff while waiting Shido. It just, things just simply would have been different. And the thing was, whereas everyone else was the 7 deadly sins, with him, it was sorrow. When you get his will seeds, whenever you get will seeds in the palace, they basically mention the deadly sin that they're attached to. Akechi was sorrow. That's not really a deadly sin. The root of his disordered desire was the sorrow of seeing Rumi catatonically depressed, and the fact that he lost her. And then his powers fully awakened after Shido gave his research the middle finger, gave his lab in Odaiba the middle finger. And then Yaldabaoth was about to do round 2 with the Phantom Thieves. That's when Azathoth fully awakened with Maruki. Now, Azathoth battled in hard mode. Holy shit, that was an hour. That was like an hour, 15 minutes. It was maybe 10 minutes against Adam Cadman, because, damn. And then Adam Cadman, so again, it went from blind idiot god to primordial man in the Kabbalic state. So, to some degree, you would think it'd go from a superior to an inferior being, but that can always be up for debate. It was kind of sad to see, you know, where it's like, damn, like, Ryuji's moving, Makoto and Haru about to move. Oh, and then on going for study abroad, that wasn't in the original ending either. So that definitely shows that reality was altered. Maruki's meddling altered the way things would have ended. Had it gone back to how it was, Post-Maruki, the ending would have reflected exactly like the vanilla true ending. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. Not only that, that would have also erased anything further in regards to Kasumi turning to Sumire and all that. That would have never happened. Nothing. That meant that it would have gone back to right after Yaldabaoth was destroyed, and all of a sudden, poof. And then that also would have meant everything involving Maruki would have never happened. He would have never had a full awakening of Azathoth and so forth. We all know that's not how it translated. So there's that, right? Now, the ending though, like, I'll tell you right now, the song Our Light, which was playing in the end credits towards that very end, that song kind of hits me in the chest anyway, because honestly, like, if you actually look up the lyrics online, it's sad. It's sad, like, you see Of Stars and Us, which is in the Persona 5 vanilla true ending. It's a very conclusive and very uplifting type of song, whereas Our Light kind of makes you feel very like somber and sad in a way, because it's like I felt like the thematic touched upon how, like, you know what, even if it hurts that everyone that we loved, that we saw come back to life, just disappears, it's okay. That's just how it is. So in Joker's case, it was seeing Akechi disappear again. It meant Wakaba no longer in the living plane, even though Futaba got a glimpse of what life could have been like with her had she never passed. Okumura, they all kind of took it to heart with their desire suddenly being gone, because they're like, the premise of fighting Maruki was the fact that, like, yeah, they may have gotten things that they personally desired, but it was wrong because it meant taking away something that actually would have helped them grow stronger in other areas. Yeah, it may have been traumatic. Yeah, it may have been painful or hurtful. but also was the root of what made them grow. Like, for example, Yusuke Kitagawa, one of his classmates, was no longer in art school because he decided to take archery. Oh, but then because of the change of reality, him being an art student along with Yusuke, never happened. Never happened. Instead, he was always archery. Why? Because Akechi, not Akechi, because Maruki determined the root of that student's suffering was being an artist. And because it made him suffer and be in pain, he figured since he likes archery, it will make his reality centered around archery. It's like, okay, you liberated him of the root of his pain, his anxiety, and his sorrow, and his depression. But guess what? All the lessons he learned from that, all the growth that he experienced through those painful experiences, you're going to have to learn them a whole nother way now. But not only that, bonds that he had with people now no longer exist. And then when someone realizes that, they're like, wait a minute, hold on though. The bond we had now no longer exists. That's painful. You're still creating a chain reaction of emotional suffering either way. So in a way, Maruki was like blessing a person with one hand and cursing them with another. And then that's what makes the ethics of what he was trying to do by force wrong. Because again, yeah, your ambition is pure of heart in terms of wanting to make the world a better place, want to make everyone pain and suffering free, which is why in his reality, Akechi lives, and even though he turns himself in, he doesn't end up in jail, but also Akechi doesn't die. Joker doesn't have to deal with a lot of things. But now with this new reality, here's the thing. The guys in Kichijoji, they're like, yo, where's your buddy? And then when you take out the glove out of your hand, you realize, oh, we ain't done yet. Kind of gives you a hint. And on that post-credit, you see Akechi walking by. They don't show his head or his neck profile, but his attire all the same. Because there was no one else in law enforcement throughout the game wearing what he was wearing. Nobody. Kind of like how Naoto from Persona 4. She was walking around the way she was dressed. Were any cops walking around like that? Nope. So we know for a fact that ain't over. But then that also shows the fabric of reality and the metaverse have not fully detached from themselves. They're not fully divorced. The divorce of cognitive and physical reality has not completed. It's still detaching. Everything that causes Persona 5 strikers to happen is evidence of it. It just further proves that, in my opinion. And then upon Atlas hinting at a third game by securing the rights to a P5A and P5U game, some speculating it's a Persona 5 fighting game similar to Persona 4 Arena. I'm willing to bet it's going to be like a Persona 5T, like a P5T. Because they did P5R for the revised, P5S for Strikers as a sequel. I want to bet the third game is going to be with a T. I don't know what they will do, but that just tells you right there that there's more. Like, in my opinion, in order for the Persona 5 mythos and story to feel fulfilled and complete, the metaverse and the real world have to completely separate. Like, everything has to be completely detached, and the metaverse itself has to completely dissipate. In the end of Persona 5, the vanilla ending, the metaverse is completely gone. There's no hint of it. Not even like a speckle or a freckle. Nothing. Persona 5 Royal, though, there's still something. So right there tells you this shit ain't over.